We are doing a series of videos titled Do All Religions Lead to God? Thus far we have finished with 3 sections within it. Section 1 discussed the commonalities among religions and why they exist. Section 2 discussed the differences among religions and what that points to. And in section 3 we discussed the Bible and other faiths. And in this video, we are going to focus on another topic that is important, which is the uniqueness of Jesus. In fact, I have made a series of videos on this particular topic. And so if you want this topic to be discussed in greater detail, I would ask you to go and listen to those videos. Why is Jesus unique? Why do the Christians insist on preaching the gospel? Why do the Christians say that salvation is available through Christ alone? And I'm going to give us 6 reasons from the Bible as to why Jesus is unique. Jesus is different from every other God, every other prophet, every other claimant that claims equality to godhood or prophethood or anything of that sort. So 6 reasons why Jesus is unique. Reason number 1, we have hundreds of prophecies about Jesus in the Old Testament. There is no other person, there is no other religion, there is no other God about whom anything similar can be said. There are so many prophecies about Jesus in the Old Testament that have been fulfilled in his first coming, that I have classified the prophecies concerning him into many sections. There are prophecies concerning the lineage of Jesus. From the very beginning, starting in the book of Genesis, God told the people of God that the Messiah to come, the Christ to come, speaking about the Jesus to come, would come as the son of Abraham, he would be the son of Isaac, he would be the son of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons, but he would be coming from the tribe of Judah. And Judah had many clans among them, but God finally said that he would be appearing as the son of David. I would not take the time in this video to read out all these passages to us. Like I said before, if you're interested in a detailed discussion on these topics, please go to the videos that have been made specifically to talk about the uniqueness of Jesus. So there are prophecies in the Bible about the tribe or the family in which Jesus would be born. Do you know that the Bible also says about the place, prophesies about the place in which Jesus would be born? Micah chapter 5 speaks about Bethlehem as the place where the coming one, the Christ, would be born. The Bible speaks about the timing of his death. Daniel chapter 9, the 70 weeks, speaks about the exact time of the death of Jesus, and therefore indirectly also prophesies about the coming of Jesus. Do you know that the Bible speaks very, very clearly about the roles that the Christ would play, the titles that he would have, the names that would be given to him, and so on. He would be a king of the people. He would be an anointed one and therefore the Messiah. He would also function as a prophet, as a mouthpiece of God. He would be a priest in the order of Melchizedek. He is called as the Holy One. He is called as someone who would crush the head of the serpent. So many titles, so many names, a description of the roles that he would play when he would be here on the face of the earth. And therefore, fascinating topics. What are we discussing? We are discussing the uniqueness of Jesus. And reason number 1 why Jesus is unique is because of all these prophecies that have been made about him. Do you know that the deity of Jesus, the divinity of Jesus, is revealed in the Old Testament? Many critical scholars today assume that the followers of Jesus deified him to the position of godhood. But that's not true, because in the Old Testament, the prophecies concerning the Messiah speak very, very clearly about his deity. I want to bring one such passage to our attention in Isaiah chapter 9, where the son who is to be born, the child who is given, on whose shoulders would rest the government, is spoken of in terms of being a wonderful counselor, being mighty God, being everlasting Father, and being Prince of Peace. Who, according to the Bible, can be called mighty God apart from God himself? There is one who is to be born, a son who is going to come, Isaiah says, who would be called mighty God. And he's speaking about the Messiah, someone who would be called everlasting Father. Again, in the Bible, who can be called everlasting Father apart from God himself? Nobody except the Son of God. Do you know that there are several prophecies in the Bible that describe the ministry of Jesus? In fact, there are Bible passages that speak about blind eyes being opened, deaf ears being unstopped, the mute being able to speak, the lame being healed. Descriptions about the ministry of Jesus. Jesus is spoken of as someone who would come as the light for all the Gentiles. Light for all the Gentiles. About him, it is said that he would come in order to set the captives free. He would preach good news to the poor, and he would declare the year of the Lord's favor. Many such prophecies in the Old Testament, prophesied by people hundreds of years before the birth of Jesus, people who have not met each other, are accurately predicting about Jesus. This is one of the reasons why Jesus is unique. Do you know that there are Bible passages that describe the death of Jesus? In fact, the Bible tells us not just the fact of the Messiah's death, it also tells us the meaning of the death of Jesus. Why would he die? Isaiah 53 is a beautiful explanation in that direction. Do you know that the Old Testament not just prophesied the death of Jesus, it also prophesied concerning the resurrection of Jesus. And that's fascinating, is it not? Jesus is unique because of the several prophecies that were made about his life. There is no one else in this world who can make any claims like this. Why is Jesus unique? Reason number 2, he is unique because of his teachings. You know, Jesus's teachings give us deeper values. He often challenged the value systems of the world. He provides us with a radical way of thinking, radical values. For example, who in this world has ever said, "Blessed are the poor," other than Jesus? The world tends to think, "Blessed are the rich." Who in the world other than Jesus has said, "Blessed are the meek"? It's only Jesus who has said anything like that. Who in this world has ever said, "Blessed are you when you are persecuted for my sake"? No one has said that except Jesus. Jesus was challenging the value systems of the world, and he was putting in some new values through his teachings. He also provided human beings with new perspectives about how to think about life. In fact, he taught us how to live this life on the earth through eternity's perspective. In other words, picking on that verse where Jesus said, "Blessed are you when you are persecuted, when you are falsely accused and all kinds of wrong things are said about you, when people hate you, you should consider yourselves blessed because great is your reward in heaven." In other words, Jesus is telling the people that are listening to him that I need you to have a perspective that is not just earthly bound. I want you to see things from eternity's perspective. And when you read through the Gospels, you find that all across, Jesus teaching people a new perspective. And also the morals that Jesus has taught. Everybody speaks about love, but the way Jesus has raised love to higher standards, the way he demonstrated God's love for us by dying on the cross. John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." Jesus demonstrated the highest kind of love that anybody can have for anybody. And he calls us to similar standards when it comes to love. When it comes to forgiveness, Jesus demonstrates forgiveness to us, and then he says, you must also forgive those that sin against you, and so on. So the morals that Jesus has taught, the values that he has espoused, the perspectives that he provides makes his teaching unique. So why is Jesus unique? Reason number one why Jesus is unique is because of the prophecies that were made about him. Reason number two why Jesus is unique is because of the teachings that Jesus has provided us. Nobody else has provided anything close to the teachings of Jesus. Reason number three is why Jesus is unique is because of the claims that Jesus made for himself. Who did Jesus think he was? Who did Jesus declare himself to be before the people who were listening to him? Jesus made statements like, I am the bread of life. He made statements like, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He made statements like, I am the resurrection and the life. He made statements that pointed to him being the judge of all humanity. Many will come to me on that day, Jesus said, and say, Lord, Lord. In other words, they would call him God, and they would make their case before him. But he would sit in judgment upon those people. So the claims of Jesus make him unique. Nobody has dared to make himself equal to God the way Jesus has dared to make himself equal to God. Now, Jesus is either a madman who doesn't know what he is talking about, or he is a liar who is trying to cheat people into thinking that he is something which he is not, or Jesus is the one he claimed to be. Study through the Gospels and listen to the words that Jesus is speaking about himself, the direct claims about him and the indirect claims that Jesus makes through all these statements. Jesus is unique because of the claims that Jesus is making about himself. Number four, Jesus is unique because of the kind of character that he demonstrated. By the way, in the world, according to the Bible, there is not a single sinless person except one among human beings, that is, and that is Jesus. Jesus is someone whom we read of in the Bible as who emptied himself for the sake of others. He who had high positions to hold left all of that. He emptied himself, made himself nothing, and suffered the death on the cross so that he could demonstrate his love for us. He was a man who lived for the sake of others. The beauty of his character is to be seen in that. The way Jesus approached the poor, the way Jesus approached the sinners, each of these, by the way, can be discussed in great detail from the Gospels, but we would not take the time to do that right now. You know, the way Jesus approached the poor, the way Jesus approached the sinners. In fact, the religious leaders of Jesus's day wanted to keep themselves away from the sinners because they did not want to be polluted by them. They did not want to be seen along with them. They considered themselves, those people, to be the scum of society. But Jesus had no problem in associating with the tax collectors, associating with prostitutes, associating with the poor, with the needy. Jesus had no problem in associating with sinners. In fact, he guided them to the true and the living path. The Bible speaks about the sinlessness of Jesus. Jesus is unique because he is the only one on the face of the earth who has lived as a human being and has been sinless. Why is Jesus unique? Jesus is unique because of the kind of lifestyle that he led, the kind of teachings that he gave about power, about authority, about servant leadership. He said that you have seen the people of this world boss over other people. But to his own followers, he said, if you want to be the first, be the last. If you want to be a leader, be ready to serve others. So the character of Jesus is reason number 4 why Jesus is unique. Reason number 5 why Jesus is unique is because of the death of Jesus. By the way, the death of Jesus was not an unfortunate incident that happened to a good man, as many would like to describe it. It was not an unfortunate incident that happened to a good man. It was a pre-planned incident or event that was planned by God in eternity past, revealed by God throughout the Old Testament, and in the fullness of time was executed by God, such that those that believe in Christ would then receive salvation. Jesus knew the place where he would be crucified. Jesus knew the people who would be involved in his crucifixion. Jesus knew how he was going to be killed. Jesus knew when he was going to be killed. Jesus knew why he was going to be killed. In other words, the death of Jesus was not something that was an accident. Jesus knew that it was for this very purpose that he had come into this earth. Who can accurately predict the where and the when and the how and the why of one's death? Nobody knows when one is going to die, but Jesus knew, and his death had a specific purpose. In fact, Isaiah 53, like I mentioned before, describes for us not just the death, prophesies for us not just the death of the coming Messiah, but also why that death is necessary, or what the purpose of that death is. In other words, Isaiah 600 or 700 years before the birth of Jesus is telling us that the Messiah would be bearing the sins of all humanity upon himself, which is why he would be crushed, which is why he would be beaten, which is why he would be spat upon, which is why he would die the kind of death that he is dying. So why is Jesus unique? Jesus is unique because of the kind of death that he died. Jesus is also unique, number 6, because of the resurrection that he prophesied about and then did, and then he appeared himself to his disciples and to many others, giving them many infallible proofs about his resurrection. No one in this world has claimed that he or she would resurrect after one's death, except Jesus. No one in his right mind, anyway, has prophesied anything like that except Jesus. Jesus knew the kind of death that he would die. He also knew that on the third day he would rise up from the dead. And he told this multiple times to his disciples in order to prepare them for what was coming. And when he resurrected, he reminded them of all that he had taught them and told them that it was necessary for the Messiah to die and then to resurrect, and for the message of forgiveness then to be declared to the ends of all the earth. Why is Jesus unique? Jesus is unique, number 1, because of the prophecies that were made concerning him in the Old Testament. Why is Jesus unique? Number 2, he is unique because of the teachings that he has brought to us, the morals, the values, the perspectives that he provides us. Why is Jesus unique? Jesus is unique because of the claims that he has made for himself. Nobody has made any such claims, the kind of claims that Jesus made for himself. Why is Jesus unique? Because of the character that he demonstrated, the spotless, the sinless character. Even his enemies could not point out anything that was wrong in him. Why is Jesus unique? Number 5, because of the kind of death that he died, because of the implications, because of the meaning, because of the purpose of the kind of death that he died. Why is Jesus unique? Jesus is unique because of his resurrection. He knew that he would die. He prophesied about his resurrection, and then he resurrected on the third day. He revealed himself to the people that were around him, and since then began Christianity, speaking about the life of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus, most importantly, the salvation that comes through the death and the resurrection of Jesus. What are we doing, by the way? We are doing a series of videos which is titled, Do All Religions Lead to God? We discuss the commonalities that exist among religions and why people think that all religions lead to the same God, why people think that all religions lead to the same salvation. In video 2, we discuss the fact that there are differences among religions such that Even though people say that all religions lead to the same God, we can ask them the question, which God are you talking about? Or when people say all religions provide you with salvation, again, salvation is described by different religions differently, such that we might want to ask them, which salvation are you talking about? That was subject matter of video number 2. In video number 3, we shifted our attention towards the Bible, and we wanted to see and understand that the God of the Bible claims that he alone is the true and the living God, and that the other gods that human beings have made for themselves, or the sun, the moon, the stars, and the other things, are not gods at all. And therefore the God of the Bible saying that he alone is God, the other gods are not gods. And if these are not gods, then everything revolving around them is not valid either. And today we continue that discussion to talk about the uniqueness of Jesus and why Christians insist on preaching the gospel. He is unique for 6 reasons, and we discussed all of them in brief today, and I hope this blesses you. God bless you.